Now from Revit 2022, you're actually going to be able to see the grids on the 3D views, which means that if you place a grid, you are going to be able to see the grid once you open the 3D view. So in order to show you this update, I'm going to create a few grids horizontally and vertically, regardless of the values and bubbles that you use in the grids. While at the same time, you can still hide the grids if you want to. Now with this, you're also going to be able to control the visibility of the grid on different views. So you will have this control that will allow you to control how far you want this grid to be displayed. So by using this control, you're going to be able to see that the other views will display the grid depending on how you use these controls. Meaning that on different views, you might be hiding the grid because you're choosing to hide this grid by dragging this control below the visibility of another level. Now at the same time, you can still use propagate extends in order to apply the extends from this view to the views that you select by using this window. So with this in mind, you will have two different ways in order to control the appearance of the grids on different views, while at the same time, you are going to notice that there is not a way for you to see the actual distance that the grid is extended. So you're going to do this by trial and error. Now since the grids are going to be visible on the 3D view, you're also going to be able to find an option on the properties palette that will actually allow you to determine how to show the grids. So you can either use the controls for one single grid, while at the same time, you can still determine how the annotation is going to propagate in other views. So all of this will be pretty useful while working in your projects because you're going to be able to place objects on the 3D views by using as a reference the grids. Now there is something as well for you to notice with the grids, and it is they are going to be able to add or disable the bubbles to the grids, while at the same time the functionality of the grids that you have on the floor plan is not going to be available on the 3D view, which means that you move the grids on the 3D view independently one from the other. So the auto snap is not going to work, but also you cannot control from where the grid is going to start, because if you do this, you are pretty much removing the grid. So this is something else for you to keep in mind when working with the grids. Now, as I mentioned before, since you have a new option on the properties palette, you will see that after you place a grid within the project and then you open the 3D view, you are going to be able to click right next to where it says Show Grids on the properties palette. And once you do this, you are going to see this window, which will allow you to check or uncheck the levels in which you want to show the grid. However, this one will not change the height of the display of the grid. So you are going to use this window in order to replicate the same grid on the levels that you selected. And as well, something for you to notice is that the grid that is placed on level 2 can actually be controlled a little bit different, at the very least with this control that you have on the bottom. And once that you have done this, you are going to be able to use the controls in order to edit how high that grid is going to go or how low.